All right, so we got 2024 presidential election. I gotta be honest, I don't know what to expect because I know Donald Trump, like he's gonna do his thing, we know where the economy is currently, right? So that's quite obvious. I'm curious what she can answer. Like I'm curious of what she has to say because that's more important. I want to know about the economy. I want to know why the economy is doing shit. Like, why isn't she doing anything to fix it? If she says, "Oh, I'm gonna do it after my presidential election," why not do it now, right? So, let's see. Let's get straight
She
into it.
doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, oh, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. Take
Yeah,
a look at her
how?
plan. She doesn't have a plan.
I
How?
believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing. And the
Okay.
cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We
Okay.
know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child
Okay.
tax credit that we have given in a long time. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit.
We're doing tariffs on other countries.
You know, that's another thing. Most people say that you should never think of corporations and stuff. I think that is part of the reason why a lot of countries don't do good is because if you don't provide incentives to corporations, they are not going to come to your country. Okay, let's say you're not giving cuts to corporations. What's gonna happen is most of these companies gonna move out to other states or other countries. Let's say instead of working solely in California, they move to Puerto Rico, or they move to Mexico, or they move to some other country. And that's gonna happen because if you don't provide incentives to corporation, the result of that is going to be loss of jobs. And obviously, think of it this way, how are people going to afford, even if you, let's say, I've read somewhere that she's going to give away $25,000 to new home buyers. How are they going to pay mortgage if they don't have a job? Because having a job is the number one thing. And not everyone can have businesses. And those people that need a job need to be able to actually work in a corporations. And most corporations wouldn't want to work if there's no incentives in a state. So they need to think of the corporations as well as the common man as well.
Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably
True.
the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago.
No, that's
They have,
relatable.
and she
That is
has
relatable.
destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country. First of all, they bought their chips from Taiwan. We hardly make chips anymore because of philosophies like they have and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy, but
It's entertaining, that's for sure.
change it, and it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people
I love how she's
pouring into our
making the
country
face.
monthly,
God damn.
where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the
True.
15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy.
True.
They have, and she has, destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country.
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually a surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here.
I have this really big issue on this one. And the issue isn't about the policy as such of abortion. It's about why are we still debating about it? It's not even the most important thing in the country as such. There's other factors as well, like economy. There's other factors as well, like immigration and all these other factors. But they want to talk about this. Isn't Donald Trump said that he wants it back in the States, right? So that's boom. Okay, so if you want abortion, your state decides and you're gonna vote on it. I think that's the best option you want. If you are conservative, you're gonna be like, no, we don't want abortion. If you're liberal, your state will be like, okay, we want abortion in XYZ week or whatever. But why is this part of the debate as such? It's
Donald Trump
weird.
hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime of violation to their body does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith.
Why does it
or
look
deeply
so
held beliefs
serious?
To agree.
Trump is
The
like,
government and Donald Trump certainly should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that. A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term. They don't want that. If you want to really
they don't
know
want that.
the inside track on who the former president is, if he didn't make it clear already, just ask people who have worked with him. His former chief of staff, a 4-star general, has said he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. His former national security advisor has said he is dangerous and unfit. His former Secretary of Defense has said the nation, the Republic, would never survive another Trump term.
See, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people. Not so graciously. They did bad
That's
things
funny.
or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people who's were just killed, viciously and violently killed. And I got to know the parents and the family. They didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most incompetently handled situations anybody has ever seen. So when somebody does a
Sure.
bad job, I fire them.
This is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the United States, that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. Someone who has openly expressed disdain for members of our military. Understand what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails.
I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy with a fake Russia investigation
We do have a lot to
that
get-
went nowhere.
We have a
Well, I think this is so rich. coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing.
Look at what's going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened. I will get that settled and fast, and I'll get the war with Ukraine and
Yeah,
Russia
why is there
ended.
still
If
war?
I'm president-elect,
Goddammit.
I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people. He knows that. He's trying to, again, divide and distract from the reality, which is it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself. It is well known that he said of Putin that he can do whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine. It is well known that he said when Russia went into Ukraine, it was brilliant. It is well known he exchanged love letters with Kim Jong-un. And it is absolutely well known that these dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear. They can manipulate you with flattery and favors. And that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are a disgrace. That is why we understand that we have to have a president who is not consistently weak
I
and
didn't
wrong
know.
on
Vice
national
President
security,
Harris.
including the importance of upholding and respecting in highest regard our military.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
They're the ones, and she's the one that caused it, that's weak on national security by allowing every nation
That's
last
a
month
interesting topic.
for the year, 168 different countries sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down. Putin endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins. And I think he meant it, because what he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me. The leaders of other countries think that they're weak and incompetent, and they are. They're grossly incompetent. And I just ask one question. Why does Biden go in and kill the Keystone Pipeline and approve the single biggest deal that Russia's ever made, Nord Stream 2, the biggest pipeline anywhere in the world going to Germany and all over Europe? Because they're weak and they're ineffective.
Damn. I think I gotta watch the whole thing, but god damn, that was way better than Biden. I love the fact that Biden is out of the race because he had no idea what he was doing, but all props to Harris. Like, I wasn't expecting any solid points or arguments that she would be able to kind of like, come through with, but actually she went with decent arguments and decent points as well. Overall, I do believe that Trump has way more to offer than Harris because think of it this way: if Harris wins on abortion thing, that's just stupid because her foreign policy is not there. She mentioned a couple economic policies, but I think those policies are just about providing incentives rather than actually fixing the whole economy as such. It's about how to actually go about and inflate the currency more by printing more money and throwing it away. And then her immigration policies, she barely talked about it, and I mean, if she wanted to do anything about it, she could have done right now. That's the biggest problem. If she wanted to do something, she could have done right now. Because think of it this way, I see this election as a portfolio versus portfolio. See Trump's portfolio and see Harris' portfolio. And the country was doing way better than in Trump's administration than in Harris, right? So for me, it's portfolio versus portfolio, and Trump wins that. Sure, this debate, I have to argue, I'll give 6-4 uh, to Trump. So like 6-4 on Trump. Like it wasn't like, oh, Donald Trump just nailed every single thing. No, obviously there were points that Harris made that was actually really good as well. But overall, he brought up Trump brought up more common sense in a way. But let me know what you think about it, and I'll. Hey, I hope there's more debates because I would love to actually hear more from both sides, right? And let me know what you think, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care and peace.